I'm Madhu Sharma and this is Design Mind. Every episode we teach your mind about design by analysing a website. In this episode of Design Mind, we are looking at charity website Indego Africa. The website relies on the power of inspiration to get users to give to the cause. It also has a unique style which emulates the look of corporate brochures. Let's start by analysing the front page. Like most websites, it begins with a slideshow. To work effectively, charity websites need to tell a story, to let the user develop a connection to the cause. Many websites often play on the user's guilt by showing scenes of despair. Indego Africa takes an opposite approach by inspiring users to give. Take this slide for example. There's no details about this person or the trouble she has faced, but the eye contact and smile forms an emotional connection. The image shows the user that their donations can create happiness. Unfortunately, not all the slides are as good. This slide of women in a classroom is inspirational, but doesn't have much of an emotional connection. The women are looking away from us, and we can't really see what they are looking at, so there's a sense that we are intruding on their space. Their facial expressions are quite dull and static. It would have been better if they could have used a photo like this, which is an active scene filled with inspiring energy. These next slides are really weak. There's just too much going on in the photos, so it's hard to understand at a glance what the slides are about. Even if the user does make an effort to read the text, it's not clear how taking part in these activities will benefit the charity. Scroll down and we get this donation area. This works wonderfully because it's not focusing on the money, but on the benefits. Telling someone to donate $50 is a big ask, but telling them that their $50 provides training carries a stronger emotional impact. The icons do suffer from being a bit unclear. Hover over them and these bubbles appear which provide more information, but because the functionality is so vague, there's a chance that the user could miss them. The bubbles would probably work better if they included profile photos of people who benefited from the donations. Underneath is this grid that highlights key content on the site. Normally I'm a fan of such devices, and I particularly like that certain squares are bigger than the rest, as this prioritizes content and so provides the user with an entry point into the grid. However, I think the layout suffers from being a bit too busy, which makes it off-putting to look at. Let's look at some of the pages on the site. Here is the impact page, which details how the charity has helped people. We'll talk about the design in a moment, but for now I briefly want to discuss the content and execution. The top of the page has a very long introduction paragraph, but by being so wordy, most people will skip over it. It would have been much better if it continued the person-centric approach of the homepage by highlighting stories of success. Most of the information in this page is contained in these PDFs, which is really disappointing, as having to open up a PDF seriously disrupts the browser experience. The About page also has a poor execution of content. The opening image does an adequate job of forming an emotional connection, but the accompanying text is far too wordy. It again would have greatly benefited from being broken down into at-a-glance chunks. Scroll down and we get this Meet the Team grid. It's great that they are providing profiles on the team behind the charity. But again, the execution is poor, as flicking through the profiles requires a lot of scrolling. It's a shame the execution is poor because both pages have a number of excellent design touches. I particularly like the way the introductions overlay text on the images, as it looks just like a traditional corporate brochure and so immediately adds a sense of authority. I also think these arrows are very effective, as they add a sense of flow between the sections, making it more natural to move between them. The Artisan page has this wonderful touch of using large cutout images. They direct the user's eyes to the text content and add plenty of impact to the page. The image of the lady is a little bit confusing, as it's not clear what she's doing. but her concentrated gaze subconsciously communicates that the charity is helping to change disadvantaged people from passive victims into active doers, and so it sets an engaging positive tone. Let's briefly analyse the Shup section. The Shup section is adequate, but it doesn't have any remarkable design features. The Shup index is similar to the front page, as it tries to give an overview of key content, but it has too many competing elements, which results in a scattered focus. The other pages also suffered from being overcrowded. There isn't anything particularly wrong with these pages, but having large margins between the sections would have made the pages feel less heavy and so more inviting to read. Let's analyse the navigation. The biggest problem with the navigation is the central position of the logo. Although it adds prominence, it also disrupts the flow of the navigation. For example, it's not really clear which link the user should click on first. The links are also grouped into two, but there doesn't seem to be any connection between the links in each group. The subnavigation also suffers from being too colourful. For example, on this page, the use of orange for the team link gives the link more dominance and so prioritises it above the other links, when in terms of content the team section isn't actually any more important than the other sections. It's not all bad, however, as the navigation does contain some excellent features. The Shup navigation is wonderful, as it not only clearly presents each section, but it also makes them inviting to look at. The donate menu is also equally excellent. It makes it a friction-free process for the user to give a donation directly from the page they are looking at. Let's examine the site on mobile. The mobile version is broadly similar to desktop. The only real change is the navigation, which actually works much better as it's not split up by the logo. The Shup section is weaker as the excellent images are removed, but given the lack of space, that's only to be expected. In conclusion, although the Indego Africa site suffers from being too wordy, it does an excellent job of creating a professional image for the charity, and it is also good at using positive emotions to inspire users to donate. That's it for this episode of Design Mind. A new episode of Design Mind is released every Monday and Thursday. Find us on the web at designmind.info. Our YouTube channel is at youtube.com/designmindinfo. You can also find us on iTunes. We'd love it if you could leave us a review at any of these places. Until next time, happy designing!